I guess it's rolling.
Yes.
It's rolling now. Is that okay? So Van, Zoe, what's up? What y'all been up to?
Dealing with the cold. It's cold now.
Yeah.
It was like 70 degrees yesterday.
Yeah, it got so cold out of nowhere. I walked out this morning in shorts and a t-shirt, thinking it was just gonna be nice and sunny. No, it was 42 degrees. The wind was hitting me, like just freezing my balls off, doing whatever.
Same.
That's so stupid, dude.
Yeah, I walked outside, went straight into the library. So
Oh man, dude. But I don't have class on Friday. That's a good thing. Yeah. So I get a 3-day weekend
that's
for the most part.
That's pretty nice.
From school every time. So you both are mechanical engineers, right?
Yes.
And Van, you're basically done with UAB, and Zoe, you said you are almost done.
Yeah, I'll be done in August.
You'll be done in August. So you have technically another summer semester going
Yep.
on.
Yep.
So what do you have left, if you don't mind me asking?
A couple math classes. I'm double majoring, so I'm finishing up with a math degree in the summer.
Oh, so your other major is in math, just cause, or is it gonna help you in the actual field?
Yeah,
What am I
so it's conducive to my research interests, which require a lot of math and understanding of those equations that are underlying the concepts that I hope to be studying.
So what kind of concepts are you hoping to be studying?
I'm interested in the fundamental study of fluid mechanics and their implications in the environment and sustainability.
Okay, so go into detail for that, assuming that I have no idea what you're talking about. Then. if you can.
I would say that my research interests are pretty broad right now. I'm thinking right now that my project will probably end up being fluid mechanics based, but I kind of use that loosely, and that there's a lot of fundamental understanding of transport phenomena type problems, and that includes like heat transfer and fluid mechanics, thermodynamics that are underlying a lot of environmental problems like climate change.
Right, that's a big
atmospheric sciences, earth sciences. You can also this project in particular that I'm probably going to be working on has to do with groundwater seepage and like contaminants and how they flow through riverbeds. So that's something that affects us and, like the foods we eat and the water we drink. So
Yeah, could you elaborate on that just a little bit more, or is that all you got on there right now?
I guess that's all the details I got on that right now.
Yeah, no. So if you were explaining this to a 5-year-old, what is fluid mechanics? I don't know if I said that right.
Yeah, you said it right.
So what is that in basically the most first grade way possible? You could explain what it is.
Oh my.
Well, Van, do you think you got that?
I feel like that would basically be it's modeling how water moves. So basically
Not just water though.
or just any fluid, I guess. Like
Your
if
apple
you-
juice.
Yeah,
Your
like
beer.
if you have a fluid or beer, if you have your beer and you're pouring it into a glass, the fluid mechanics is the math behind that and how you predict all of that. That's kind of the way I understand it.
So is there any other applications besides environmental? Because I'm pretty sure there are.
Yeah, it's in all kinds of stuff. So just one big one I can think about is if you think about like a hydroelectric dam, just for one instance, you can use fluid mechanics to calculate how much electrical energy you can get out of the water flowing through the dam.
Okay, I see. Well, that's cool. So you got that call from or you had an interview with NASA, right, man? Mm-hmm. And did you get to the second part, or what did they do?
Well, unfortunately, I did not get that position, but I guess I have another connection up there, which is great.
So as far as work goes, as far as engineers and work go, do you guys get more corporate gigs, or y'all more contractors in a sense? Because I got a friend in New Jersey. He works for an engineering firm, so basically he gets contracted through there. But I was just wondering how that works for you guys. If you guys are technically independent contractors, or y'all work for, a company, or so what?
I think it really depends on what you want to do. I know a lot of the people who end up leaving UAB's engineering program usually end up in a manufacturing position. So that kind of just means that you work for a company and you kind of like oversee the processes that go into the manufacturing of whatever it is that they're making. Van and I have different interests. Van's interested in like testing of.
Like test engineering of aerospace components mainly.
Yeah, and I'm more interested in like the academic side of research. There's tons of things you can do with an engineering degree. I have a friend; she's interested in being a patent attorney and using her engineering degree for that because there's a lot of things that go on with like intellectual property and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a big one, isn't it? Because there's been stories where people who make the original IP, for example, I can't think of an example, but then it just gets jacked by a rich guy, and then he owns the rights and the license, and he just makes all the money off of it. So it's basically, I guess I compared it to the music industry when the artist gets signed under a label, but the artist signs all his rights away, where, yes, technically he didn't make it, but the big guy owns the IP and the license, so he's just basically making all your money from it. So that's cool.
Right.
That's interesting in a way. So are you guys leaning towards more the corporate side, or are y'all just gonna take whatever you like? I don't know how to ask it, but
I guess like in my case at least, like for the kind of engineering that I wanted to do, it'd be more in a corporate kind of setting. So so like I would be working for a firm that then does test engineering for another company. So like just an example, like for the position I interviewed for was with Jacobs Engineering, which that whole firm is contracted by NASA to do their engineering a lot of the time. So I would be getting paid by Jacobs, but I'd be essentially a NASA engineer while I was at it.
okay, I see. But so you said you wanted to go into more research and that kind of nature.
Yeah, so
Correct.
my interest is to obtain a PhD and then hopefully either work in a national lab or obtain professorship at a university.
Dumb question. What's a national lab?
A national lab. So there's a lot of them, right? That means that they're usually government funded, federally funded. They get a lot of funding to specialize usually or pursue different topics. For example, there's one in Tennessee at Oak Ridge. I think Van has been up there a couple times. What did you see up there?
I didn't go to the national lab, but what I did do is I went up to Vacuum Technology Incorporated, which kind of stemmed from that national lab.
Okay.
And so from what I understand, like that national lab was mainly about nuclear research.
Mm-hmm.
And then Vacuum Technologies stemmed from that because they started making a lot of the vacuum components they would need for nuclear research.
Okay, here's another dumb question. What's vacuum technologies in a nutshell?
So Vacuum Technologies is like if you have to test something that say is going to go into space, you have to test it under those same conditions. So you have to pull a vacuum on it instead of it being like what we're normally in, like 14 psi or something like that. It's under like as close to 0 psi as you can possibly get. So it's just very, very, very low pressures.
So are you testing things like hole integrity or suit integrity or?
At the large scale, yes, but there's a lot of smaller components that go into that stuff that also has to be leak tested. So, like, if you have a rocket engine, for example, and it has a pipe on it that's going to be carrying fuel to the engine, you have to leak test that to make sure that fuel isn't going to leak out when it's in space.
Okay. Do electronics get affected in a vacuum?
They do. So you can. That's another thing you can do with it. There's a whole bunch of things I really don't know about that need to be leak tested when they go into
Mechanical
space.
for a reason.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't know any of this stuff too. That's why I'm asking all the questions.
I do know what they'll do with some electronic components that have to be in a certain pressure constantly. They will take that and they will put in a small vacuum to test how much it leaks when it goes into space.
I see. Speaking of space, when do y'all think we're going to become? Because the next big thing for us, advancement-wise, the next frontier is being a multi-planet species. So, just talk off the dome of your head. When do you think we're going to get to that stage? Because obviously, you guys talked about climate change, and the rate that the climate is changing, it's what's concerning for all of us is the time span that the climate's changing. So, obviously, we're kind of the rate we're in layman's terms, the rate we're destroying the Earth is unusually high and unnatural. So naturally, the next thing that I think we would need to do as a species is go to the next planet. So, in a nutshell, when do you think we would get to the point where we become a multi-planet species?
Well, like in terms of like just visiting other planets, I don't think it'd be that long until we can just like visit them. But in terms of being established, that would take a very, very long time to
Probably
do.
several decades.
Yeah.
Probably, I would say on the order of centuries from that personally, because like there is a
Planet's going to be destroyed by that time.
Oh yeah, so like we gotta
Maybe.
fix Earth first. Like
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
hopefully I'll be dead by then. That's so messed up to say.
it
That's
was
my
kind of
grandkids' problem.
it was kind of funny. Like the NASA director at Marshall Space Flight Center came to UAB. What would you say, like a month ago, Zoe, something like that?
I thought it was last semester.
Oh, I honestly don't remember, but But anyway, he came in and he was talking about a project that they're going to do to get like 1 pound of soil off of Mars. And he said it's going to take, he said it was going to take like 3 rockets and then like several $1 million.
There's a
to be
lot
able to
of
do that.
difficulty involved with trying to just transport materials to and from Mars. So
Yeah. And that's with 1 pound of just dead soil. So imagine transporting like a person with everything that they need. It just takes a lot more to be able to do that. And we don't have that capability yet.
Plus, we'll probably be killing each other on Mars too, man. Think about
Yeah,
it.
that'd be pretty unfortunate.
there's
wouldn't
also a lot of things that you just have to account for. You know, the fact that the atmosphere is so thin, being able to grow things there to eat. I don't know how sustainable that is.
it? Yeah, I mean, it'd be weird. Like, I'm sure there's a bunch of challenges that we don't even know about at
Yeah.
that point because we've never done anything like that before. Like, the closest thing that we've done to that is we put some people on the moon for like a couple hours at a time.
I
And
mean,
that
we
was it.
I mean, we shot a Tesla to Mars. I mean, Elon Musk did.
Well, yeah, but that's a car, not a human, is the issue.
It's the same thing. It's just in concept. In concept, it's the same thing. No, I'm just fucking around. Dude. So what made? So wait, hang on. Before I go on that, I think there was something. Some researcher said that this is how where we're at right now is we can see if a meteor is going to hit the Earth, but there's nothing we can do about it. Is that kind of the deal right now?
I have heard on a podcast there's some things that we can do about, like we could launch a missile at it and maybe we can hit it. But then if we do that, we could also just knock it into another orbit that is
Make it
also going to
worse.
hit Earth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people say that. Some people say that it might just break it into multiple pieces.
That's also
I know
a
that's like the
possibility.
Hollywood way of looking at it, but
Yeah, I mean that's the other main issue, just hitting it with another rocket. I did hear there was a podcast on like I think it was Radiolab that talked about that a little bit more. They talked about this really interesting thing where they basically get an engine that moves it like at a ridiculously slow speed, like inches per day or something like that, and then the gravity from the actual satellite will slowly pull the asteroid out of an orbit that will hit us. So that's just kind of like an idea that they have to do it.
how big would that satellite be for it to have its own gravity just to pull it away?
It doesn't have to be that big.
Really?
We all
Yeah.
have our own gravity.
Okay.
Yeah, so like it wouldn't have to be that big at all to do it. It's just a matter of the satellite moving slow enough so it doesn't break its own gravity.
I never knew that. That's so cool. Or we could do thoughts and prayers.
Or
That always works too. I was just pray a little bit.
Change your Facebook profile picture.
Yeah, man. That'll stop
Pray
the
for
media.
Earth.
And then the people or the species that come after us, like, look at these fucking idiots. They died. Like how we look at the dinosaurs. They're just
Exactly.
dead,
It's
like,
man.
why does everybody just have this random planet on their Facebook profile picture now?
Look at these idiots using computers.
Hashtag pray for Earth.
Yeah.
Pray for Earth, boys. So why did y'all pick engineering out of any field y'all could do? I know that's so broad.
It's easy for Van.
Because I'm stupid. I tried going to biomedical
No.
engineering. That wasn't for me. Like, I knew right away, it's like, nah, this ain't happening. Because I'm competing with people who want to be doctors, who have a passion for it. Me, I was going into it as like, I just need to make a shit ton of money and get out. And yeah, that didn't work out. So, why engineering?
I mean, I feel like for me, like my dad's an engineer at UAB, so I've just been always kind of working at that stuff. And whenever we'd be working on cars or something like that, or just any project around the house, he would always be like, you have to think about what you're doing before you do it. And that's what engineers do. So I wanted to do that. And that's why I guess I went down that career path.
So it came from you just tinkering around with your dad,
Pretty
hanging out in the
much,
shop.
yeah.
That's so cool. What about you, Zoe?
Mine was a super last minute decision, actually. That ended up being really like a good one because I actually applied to UAB and was about to enter into my freshman year as a biochemistry major. Just because I didn't even know what I wanted to do. Like, I had good grades and everything, but I was like, yeah, I don't really know what I want to do in the future, but this sounds good, so let me just go ahead and apply with this.
So at what point in your life did it turn from you just picking something last minute to when did you realize that, yeah, I wanted to do this in that kind of sense?
So my high school in the Podunk, Lower Alabama area, decided to start adding engineering classes, and I took one just for fun the second semester of my senior year, and I said, yeah, I mean, I feel like this sounds like a lucrative opportunity for my career. And the other thing, though, is that I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it because it seemed like the trendy thing to do. Everybody I knew wanted to go to college to be an engineer, and I said, I don't know if I want to be like everybody else, but I did it anyway because I was really interested in the coding and putting things together. And I would say that once I got more into my sophomore year, I was like, this is what I want to do, and I think I'm going to stay.
God, I'll never forget. Dr. Dwyer's still there?
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first day. I think Van was in my class too. She said something along the lines of 80% of you are going to leave this program.
It's true. I didn't think it would be, but...
And 80% of you are not going to graduate before you. It was like, yeah, fucking right. And I was like, well, here I am.
Yeah, she scared me. I mean, when I first met
hilarious. Her. I think we had...
She's so brutally dry.
Yeah.
Yo,
love that, though.
We had a class where she was talking about... It was like an experiment saying, okay, it was something about a race, but supposedly the car was not stable or ready to go, but it was the biggest race ever. And then my group was like, yeah, just do it anyway. And she said, congratulations, your decision just cost the life of the driver and 30 other people. I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. Yeah, engineering. Yeah, that's great. So it's funny that you say that. Most people think well, from what you say, people thought it was trendy to go into engineering in a sense. So... But from what I've seen, it's kind of the opposite. I've kind of seen people kind of have a weird aversion towards, any kind of STEM field in general, whether it's man or woman or whatever. I just kind of noticed that people have this weird aversion towards math or anything, STEM related. So where do you think that comes from?
I think that's more on an emotional type level. People don't like rejection, and to them, doing something that's really difficult and taking a lot of work, to them, they're like, I'm not good at this. I don't want to put the work in. It makes me feel bad, so I'm just going to stop trying.
I mean, do you have an opinion on that? Because me, I did feel that way, but I came back for computer science, and I know, like, Cal 1, boo-hoo, it's like, it's nothing compared to what you two have done. But when I took Cal 1 the first time, my first test I made to 32, and this semester I came back to take Cal because I'm going into computer science to get into, programming. And my past two tests, I made like a 92. So I wanted to. So what do you think about that sort of mindset where people just think they can't do it because does it come out as something from laziness or they just I don't know.
Well, I think there's also this. I think a lot of people can relate to this too. Is there's this transition between high school and college? Is there's a lot of people who are smart relative to their peers. They don't have to try it all in school, and then they think that they can have that exact same attitude in college and skate on by like they did in high school. But those who decide to pursue something like engineering or a math or physics degree, they realize that no, you can't do that. And then they see if there's some of their other peers who do work really hard, and they're like, oh, they must be smarter than me. They do so well on their tests, but it's not that they're inherently smarter. They just work a lot harder and they study a lot harder. But I think they get that rude awakening, and then all of a sudden they are not interested in it anymore. But then I think that that's a really big lesson, is that you have to fail first to realize that, not everything comes easy.
I feel like a lot of people realize that too late as well. A lot of time, like with how the courses are required and all that, if you're allowed to fail a class like once, and then that's it. If you fail it twice, then you're kind of done.
Then you can't take it.
It's like I know a lot of people that they'll go into like Thermo 1's kind of like the weed out course for mechanical engineering at least, and a lot of people get to that class and they just don't really try it all, and then they get like an 8 on the first test.
Not uncommon.
Is it that class that on the syllabus has a makeup, like a retake of test one, or I'm thinking about circuits?
That's circuits.
That's circuits, yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend, Eric Mobley. He told me that on the syllabus, after test one, they said you have a retake of the test one because everyone knew that you were going to fail because that's how difficult that concept was. So it's a good thing you said that some people figure out too late, because I found myself that I'm glad I figured out what I needed to do in order for me to do stuff like this. Well, you need money. You got to eat. You got to have your own shelter. You got to have money to do this stuff. So I'm glad I kind of figured that out earlier than some of my other peers, because I know some of my other peers, they kind of figured that out a little bit late. And when I say late, I'm talking about like mid-30s.
Right.
Like they have families. And yeah, that's a whole lot that's a whole lot tougher, especially when you have a kid. When you're just you, I mean, it's not that bad to deal with. It's like whatever, just get over it, sucker. So what do you think, Van? Why do you think people have such an aversion towards STEM fields?
I don't really think it's an aversion. I think that people think it's cool stuff, like on the surface. You know, it's like on the surface, like it's like, oh, that's a pretty cool thing. I want to get involved with that. And they actually try to get involved in it, and it's way, way harder than they thought it was. And then people just aren't ready for that challenge at that point. I feel like a lot of the time. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, it kind of does. They have an interest. I guess in a way, they have an interest for something. They try it out, and they just don't think it works for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
An
I
interest
guess.
is not the same thing as passion.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think? What do you think can encourage more people to go into STEM? Because I don't know if this is still true in 2019. There was seems to be a bit of a shortage for STEM jobs, supposedly, like your engineering, your programmers. Like I know programmers especially because, well, that's the new thing, and there's a lot of jobs that require that. And from what I've heard, big companies like Amazon, Google, there's a lot of careers available in cybersecurity because that's where all their stuff is based on now. It's kind of based on the cloud. So what do you think can encourage more involvement or more interest into these kinds of fields?
I think it's just introducing it to them a little bit earlier. And here's a jab at Common Core. Everybody takes all of that, and then they don't really find any sort of interest unless they're doing some sort of extracurricular that gets them involved or interested in something else. Actually, a lot of outreach programs that, say, like the Society of Women Engineers at UAB does, or a lot of the engineering organizations, that's their whole purpose, is to create activities that younger kids can get involved in and then become a little more interested in those types of topics.
You have something to say, Van?
I mean, I think Zoe kind of hit it right in the button. Like, the best way to do it is just to get involved in other stuff outside of just school or just sports. You know, like if you're interested in like computer science, for example, you're not going to get very good at that just starting in that at university. Like not like
Right.
never have programmed before. You're not going to be able to learn that very well out of 4 years. It just takes an interest well before then, in my opinion, to be able to learn stuff like that.
Okay, so what do y'all think? Well, do y'all think introducing concepts like engineering program into high schools is a good way to go?
Yeah,
In
I
that
think
sense?
so. I definitely think so because it also makes you think things through like a lot more logically, I guess. So like if you have a problem, rather than like it's just kind of an engineer way of thinking about it, you tend to think through that problem step by step, and then you get to a solution a lot better in the end, rather than you just look at it and you just decide something to do arbitrarily.
I think here's something controversial I want to say. I think that's what Common Core was trying to do. It was trying to teach you something step by step, but it wasn't going to work because it didn't make sense. Because I think you look like you disagree, which I don't blame you. I think what it was trying to do. It was trying to teach you a step by step analytical way of thinking. Even though to us, I think it was stupid. Like to us, it was. No, this doesn't make sense. This is stupid. Like 35 plus 35 is 70. It's not any of this other bullshit. But, which I think they removed Common Core.
Oh, I have no idea.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure
I know
it's
that
still
when
around. Oh my
Interesting.
God. Huh. That's unfortunate.
Alabama, dog.
That's
That's true.
It
unfortunate.
hasn't changed for about 50 years.
Yeah. I know that like when my mom was a teacher, she really liked Common Core, and the rest of her colleagues did, just because it made it so it was a standardized way that you knew that your students weren't going to get like left behind by their classes. Because before
More or less.
yeah, more or less,
What's
but like
that?
before then, everything was pretty much just like a shot in the dark. I don't think it's doing things very well, but
No, I think
It's-
it's just their attempt at giving everybody a quote unquote solid base to prepare them for higher education.
That was the purpose of it? Really?
I think that was the intention. I don't think it actually did it.
I mean,
Well, I
especially the
didn't
way
do it.
things are
Yeah.
now, is just everybody's getting funneled into college, so they're like, well, since that's the thing to do, we might as well try to prepare them the best way that we can.
I talked to Nick Tyler on a recent episode. He said that the one thing about, most public high schools is it's kind of turned into a college churning or college enrollment factory where it's less about. He said he's trying to encourage people to look at different options or different options besides college. Because like you said, we're kind of getting funneled into college, or kids are still getting funneled into college in a way where, what happens is they get into college, but when you get people from, let's say, what's the politically correct way of saying this? Worse areas, what? Areas of
tier 1 schools.
Tier 1 schools? So basically, in a nutshell, he said something along the lines of when you get people who come from like tier 1 schools, they enroll in college, they take the loans out to go, but they don't finish. So now they have $30,000 just hovering over their head, and they're still working at McDonald's or whatever. So what do y'all think? What do you think can, in a sense, what can solve this issue we're seeing with college with, in general, just oversaturation? Because there's some people who say that, oh, now masters is new bachelors, but you see a lot of people who, they just skill up or they get certifications or they just go work, and now they're doing decent. So what do y'all think would be a solution to help fix the whole education system right now?
I feel like a lot of the time, like, public schools are just kind of like college student factories, I guess, and they get there and then they pay a bunch of money, and then they're screwed for years to come. So, like, I know, like, Hoover is starting to do this. They're starting to push vocational trades more. It's like they're starting like some like 2-year some vocational school that's not an alternative to high school, but it's something else you can do. So like you do like a half day at high school to do your core classes, then you go over and you learn how to like weld or something like that. Whereas that's actually a very, very good career to get into if you choose to do that. So I think that'd be the first step right there.
Yeah, welders make bank, dude.
Oh yeah,
tons, especially in the Navy, because they're making bank and they're getting benefits.
Yeah, like at the hydraulic cylinder plant that I worked at a couple years ago, like the machinists were honestly the most skilled people in the whole place, including the engineers. Like, they really knew what was going on. Whereas if you're an engineer that's getting paid like an engineer back there, a lot of times you're just drawing stuff that the machinists then read, and it's really not that big of a deal.
Huh. So here's something crazy. I think Australia did this. They said that we're not giving out student loans anymore to people who don't major in STEM.
Oh,
in a way.
That's not good.
Did y'all hear about that?
I didn't hear about that.
But apparently Australia did that where because they weren't getting returns back fast enough. So they were just saying, okay, if you're not going into STEM, I'm not giving you a loan because, I mean, from a business point, from the way I see it, it kind of makes sense. If I give Josh here like $10,000 and I'm not gonna get like a 10% return for like 80 years, that doesn't make sense to me. But I mean, do you guys have an opinion on it? Because I see where they're going. I see where they're trying to push. They want to push that, and to me, it makes sense.
Well,
but
I think there's a lot of things wrong with that, obviously. I think that there's not enough transparency between high school students and what a career really entails. They don't understand what they're getting into when they choose a major and they go into college, right? And so they take out all this money and they know in the back of their mind, engineering, for example, is a lucrative career. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to get money, so I'm going to go study this. But then they're like, I'm really not interested in this. And if I'm not interested in it, I'm not going to put enough work into it. And then they end up dropping out. There's also a lot of stigma around vocational school. For example, there's this guy in one of my classes. He's a non-traditional student. He came back to school and he said, I started in mechanical engineering here because I thought it was the same thing as machining. It is 100% not the same thing as machining. But machining is a very technical skill. It's a very technical trade. But it is not equivalent of mechanical engineering whatsoever. But to speak on the point of returns, I actually watched this YouTube video the other day about how STEM degrees do typically give the most returns, assuming somebody finishes. Even people who go to become like a doctor, a physician, a dentist, something like that, they have to take out massive amount of loans, and they end up being almost like $500,000 in debt by the time that they finish. And it takes them so long to get that money back just to finish paying off their loans that it's like people who study engineering end up blowing that out of the park, right? So, I mean, yeah, I would agree that from a business point of view, it is more lucrative to go into a STEM degree.
right, yeah, because right now my mom's still paying off loans, and I know a lot of people in my family who are pharmacists. They're still paying off loans. Like I think some of them are still like 70, 80K in the hole, and they got done with school years ago, but they just dug themselves a 250K hole, and they're still in there. But I think I don't know. You knocked it out of the park, Zoe. I don't know what to say after that. You knocked it out of the park. What was Purdue like? What was Ohio? Purdue's not in Ohio.
It's in Indiana.
Indiana, my bad. What was that like?
One of those Midwestern states.
Yeah,
They're basically
somewhere
all the
up there.
same. Yeah.
In that area.
It's true. They're
didn't-
flat. There's lots of corn.
Did you say that
You're
like
not
Indiana
wrong.
was the Alabama of the Midwest or something like that?
Ooh, yeah. I'm not gonna elaborate, but take that as you will.
I mean,
I can confirm. I lived in Indiana for a month
It's red.
on PCI tour.
If that helps you at all.
The Alabama of the Midwest.
I
Yeah.
think of the Midwest kind of like how people look at Asia. It's like they don't know there's that many cultures. Like, oh yeah, that's just Asia over there. All that. Those Russians, yeah, they're Asian too. Just over
Yeah,
there. So that's
right.
how I think of the Midwest. But yeah,
It's like a black blob.
it's like Asia.
That's the same thing in the Midwest.
But what's Vietnam? Oops. But what was that like going to Purdue? And you did a 3-month
It was a fellowship.
fellowship up there?
Yeah.
So what did you do exactly?
So there's this program that national labs do it, other universities do it. It's called an REU, which stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates. And it's usually similarly structured to an internship program, except for students who are more geared towards pursuing graduate school or a PhD or a research-based career. And kind of took a small risk there because I had previously been enrolled in a co-op position at Honda, which is they have a manufacturing plant over in Lincoln. And the way a co-op works is you have 3 rotations. You usually go work for a semester, then you go to school for a semester, and then you come back. And they usually have 3 rotations, and then typically that results in a full-time position afterward. I quit that
Okay.
because
On good terms, right? Or did you just
yeah. I mean, I think nobody can really blame you for that's just business, right?
Right.
But I mean, I decided that wasn't for me. I was more interested in research and pursuing more of an academic career. So I kind of cut that off and started applying for research internships, which is funny because I just on a whim decided to go to a graduate school fair and was like, I did not realize that there was this type of career available to me because UAB School of Engineering is so industry oriented. Very, very, very few people end up going down that career path. But that graduate school expo was actually at Purdue University, and I met a couple graduate students, and one said, look, if you're even considering a little bit going to graduate school or a research-based career, I highly suggest you apply to one of these programs. And so I said, okay. And I applied to a couple, and Purdue was the highest ranked school on that list, and I ended up getting it. So, yeah.
So at Honda, were you just doing, I guess, Aaron Robbins told me he was just doing safety over there. In
he
my
was
way
at
of looking at it.
Mercedes,
Oh, okay, I
but
see.
it's similar,
So
right?
you were just doing that, just kind of like overseeing operations, that kind of deal?
Yeah, well, there's different things that you can do, but the department that I was in was the parts quality analysis, so it was kind of like a lab, but essentially what it was if people were having issues on the assembly line with certain parts and installing them, they would bring it to my group, and I would take it, and I would scan it, and I would see if it was out or within specification, and I would file reports on it and send it back.
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see why you got bored with it.
It was good for a summer, and it was good money, but
I know, yeah, of course it's good, buddy.
yeah.
Man, but so going back to research, so as professors, like if you do research, does the IP belong to you or does this belong to the university? This is something I've been curious about. And basically, is there a way to defend yourself from getting screwed over? Like, let's just say you come up with something, amazing that's going to help us travel to Pluto in 2 seconds. Well, are you credited with that or is the university?
I mean,
way.
I would say both, and I wouldn't even say that the institution is your main enemy there. I would say that other researchers in that area are your main enemy, which sounds bad, but unfortunately that's kind of the reality of it, is that you want to be collaborative with other researchers in the same topic at other universities, at other labs, but at the same time, if they know about something that you're working on that happens to be a little bit of a breakthrough, you can get your research scooped, and if they write on it fast enough and get that published before you, then that's their work and not yours.
Oh, so they're like vultures too.
Yeah.
Van, you don't gotta worry about any of this stuff, man.
Nope.
That's good life, man. You just go work on some cool space shit. You just don't worry about it. Send like 3 Teslas to the moon. It was like, yeah, that's cool, man.
Why not triple that output? Yeah, 3
Yeah, why not?
Teslas.
Let's put a person in there next time. Let's see what happens. Man, let's just send political people to fight on Mars.
Exactly.
That'll help solve the problems, dude. If they just settled it in a boxing match or like a UFC match, that'd be perfect. But no. Anyways, I'm going on a rant that's completely unrelated.
Old-fashioned 12 steps duel.
Oh man. So, do y'all think that the engineering field's getting saturated? I know that's broad, but what do y'all think?
I think it is depending on where you look. So like if you go into like electrical engineering or computer science / computer engineering, it's not saturated at all in there. But if you get into mechanical materials, that kind of stuff, it's starting to get kind of saturated. Not like ridiculously saturated by any means. But
I would say
Right.
that just the way that technology is moving, engineering the curriculum is not evolving fast enough to accommodate those needs.
Because everything's starting to move towards more.
AI and programming,
stuff,
computer
yeah.
science based.
So when do you think you guys are going to have to do that stuff? Since the field is shifting that way.
I'm already there.
I see. Oh, what do you work in?
What?
What coding program do you do?
Oh, primarily MATLAB, but I mean, I also know a little bit of C++.
Okay, I see. See, Van, you don't got to worry about it yet?
No, not yet.
He knows MATLAB.
I know
It's MATLAB.
I know MATLAB, but it's not the same kind of coding. It's basically just a glorified calculator, pretty much.
Oh, I see. Because, like, you know, a lot of manufacturers, they replaced a lot of, I guess, factory or manufacturing jobs by AI and automation already. So that's why everything's kind of shifting. But, man, when do y'all think robots are going to take over the world?
Hopefully never, but I guess we'll see what happens.
Probably pretty soon, honestly.
Pretty soon. Because you know what they say, dude? They say the FBI is looking at you through your phone all the time, dude. You know, there's a genius solution I have to make sure robots don't take over the world. It's just give them a 2-foot power cord. That's it. So if they try to go after you, they just unplug the shit.
Exactly.
They can't do anything.
Well, there's Stephen Hawking quoting some other book going like, so some scientist made this robot, and then the scientist asked the robot, "Is there a god?" And the robot said yes, and then made a lightning bolt hit its power cord, and then it didn't turn off.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. Dude, Stephen Hawking had a messed up sense of humor, too.
He really does.
He constantly made fun of the fact that he couldn't go upstairs. I think he said something along the lines of like, if there's a stairway to heaven, I'm screwed. That kind of deal, dude. That's funny. God. What else am I going to say? Well, I'm going to have to edit this out because I got to scoot through this real quick. Post-production, man. So out of all the engineering studies you can go into, which one is kind of the one that's too specialized in a way that can kind of be basically that can leave you in a bad spot?
Biomedical engineering.
Okay.
I don't know if that's
knew it.
how it is everywhere, but at UAB, most of the biomedical engineering majors here pretty much just are pre-med or go into something like that. Or they start out as pre-med and either change to like mechanical or something or just drop out.
Oh, yeah.
So like, because when you're a biomedical engineer and the only actual biomedical engineering work you can do, you need to go and get a PhD for that. Or you can go into medicine.
Don't most bachelors, they just go into like some petty research or something?
I wouldn't say that. A lot of them end up doing mechanical engineering work. It's
Okay.
just the coursework that they learn is specialized towards the body, and that's it. So it's
Yeah.
the same kind of stuff you're learning, but it's only applied in one spot.
Most of their coursework is essentially a mechanical engineering curriculum, but only applied to the body.
Maybe they're trying to make prosthetics and robotic arms. I don't know. They're trying to make a Terminator or something?
I mean, I did have one friend who was triple majoring in BME, mechanical engineering,
And math.
Triple majoring? What the fuck?
Oh yeah, no, he's
And
crazy.
pre-med.
pre-med, yeah, too. He's in medical school.
and
He's
he
in
had a
medical school
4.0.
now.
He was going for a quad, dude?
He's crazy. Like
He's crazy. What is he?
I know that he wanted to make prosthetics, but I don't know why he'd need to do all of that to make prosthetics.
Keep an eye on him, dude.
I think it was just a matter of I can, so I will.
Probably,
Dude,
yeah.
just keep an eye on him. He's probably the next Elon Musk, dude.
Crazy smart. Like,
Was he
No.
Asian?
No, he's
who
so
was he?
white.
David
David
Chastain
Chastain.
Boyd.
Okay, that makes it's so white.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
It's
we
funny.
go.
It's funny because like I would have like Thermo with him, and then in Thermo 1, Dr. Taryn did these quiz games that your group would compete against other groups, and my group beat his group for the last round to win the whole thing, and I was so proud of myself. And then we told some of our friends who are pre-med or pre-dent, and they had him as an Orgo TA. They were like, "You beat David Chastain Boyd."
What was that thing going on, Van? That your senior design project, one of the groups was having a big issue or whatever, and they didn't even get anything done. I want to talk about that.
That's like half. That was the whole thing, I tell you. Like, so basically, like, was how my senior design project went when I took that class. Is there was my group, which was the motor controls for the Eco Marathon car. Then the other group was the actual body of the car. The body group, all they did the entire semester was fight with their mentor, and then they didn't get anything done. And it pretty much boiled down to eventually we got to a presentation, and they got into a shouting match with their mentor during their presentation. So that was interesting. And then the end result was like me and one of my other group members, because only 2 people in my group actually did anything, ended up doing their project and our project. So yeah, that was fun.
Imagine like presenting a car, but the body's not there.
It was
You just have
ridiculous.
wheels. It's like a chassis.
Luckily, they didn't have to do that much work because there was already a body for the car.
Oh, nice, dude. God, I remember my engineering. Like, it was some introduction to engineering stuff. We had to build like those bridges and see like how much force could withstand. Yeah, I cheated and used real wood glue, by the way. It was like me and I think his name was like Freddie or something. And the other 2 dipshits didn't do anything because I had that kid named Hot Chocolate.
What?
You remember him?
Who are you talking
Bakari.
about? Who?
You don't remember? Yeah, it's been a while, but
I have no idea who you're
it was
talking
this guy
about.
it was this guy who would call himself Hot Chocolate. He wouldn't do jack
Oh, he
shit.
did it himself?
Yeah, he didn't do jack shit the whole time, dude. And Dr. Dwyer came up to like me and Freddie was like, "All right, I want you to be honest. Who did the work?" And we was like, "Me, Freddie." Those 2 dipshits didn't do anything.
I mean,
It was-
I have no idea who you're talking about, but that does sound about right. And you think that would get better as you go on through engineering? It really doesn't.
I was about to say.
No.
Like the only difference is that you learn who actually does work and who doesn't.
Senior design makes it very apparent who slipped through the cracks.
Yeah. Like there was one guy in my group that he didn't know anything. Like I have no idea how he made it that far.
Dude, I
It was
don't know.
ridiculous. I would give you an example of how. Oh, I can think of the perfect one. So he was insisting that we should have 4 wheels on the car, like with 2 drive wheels instead of 3 wheels, with just having 1 drive wheel, because having 2 drive wheels versus 1 would double the output power of the car.
Well,
Yep, this is a senior in mechanical engineering right there.
he's a senior. What do biomedical engineers do for like their senior design? Because they can't. I don't think they. Well, y'all said they do a bunch of mechanical stuff, but in a sense, where you're working with an electrical, mechanical, another one. I don't know, but I don't think they would fit in. Do they do something different, like separate?
BME is kind of weird. Like they end up making up their own projects when they get up there, which you can do that for mechanical, but it's not really done a lot. So some of them are pretty good, and some of them are pretty lackluster, to say the least. It really just kind of depends on what they come up with.
I see.
It's usually more geared towards like the medical device or something like that.
Yeah, like there's one with a wheelchair with an umbrella on it. That was a senior design project. It looked fancier than that, but it was basically a wheelchair with an
It
umbrella
was a
on it.
wheelchair with an umbrella, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta say, is there a picture of this somewhere?
I think it went to some.
I don't remember.
It's one of those hospitals.
One of the
Yeah.
ones this year, while I was at the machine shop, the machinist came up to me because one of the senior design groups for biomedical engineering came up and said, we want to make a pneumatic mop ringing device for someone with no arms."
How are you gonna use the mop?
That's exactly what he asked.
Dude, might as well buy one of those little robots that just crawl on the
Oh, the
ground like that.
Roombas?
Yeah, might as well get that, dude. I'm telling you, man, robots are gonna take over the world. They're already taking jobs, dude.
I wonder if that guy has told them yet or asked them yet, like, how are they going to mop?
No, you
like,
should-
I really want to
Just
hear
let 'em
about
go
that
all
when
the
it
way
happens.
through.
Nah, what I would have done is just went all the way through, and if they would pay me, just take the money, and I just would have left.
Exactly. I think that's what he's doing.
You hired me to make this self-pneumatic mop ringing machine. You didn't hire me to make someone's arms. Okay.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I can see it now. I can see him finishing the project and the impact and him go like, so how are they going to mop?
All right, let's pull out that wheelchair with the umbrella. We can figure this
Got
out.
it.
We can figure that out, boys. Oh man. So, you think engineering and school? What am I going to say? Do you think that'll stay? What am I trying to say? I'm gonna have to edit a lot because I sound so stupid in this episode. Do you think schooling will be required for engineering for how long? Or do you think it'll be relevant for the next 20 years? Because as you noticed, a lot of, well, maybe I'm just talking for the programming and coding world, but a lot of people, in a sense, they just go practice on their own and then they get certifications.
I think you can learn that with some programs, but when you get down to like having to know the concepts and know the math behind it, you're going to have to get taught by somebody who already knows it. So like to answer your question, I guess a little bit better, I think that school is going to be relevant for engineering as long as there's engineering. You know, because there's just so much stuff that you have to know to make stuff safe for people to use. Whereas if you go and just try to do it, you're not going to learn a lot of time unless you like work somewhere and only do that the entire time. But with the way that people move around in careers now, there's no way that will happen.
Okay, yeah. That's something I needed to keep in mind, that there's a big safety aspect in engineering. So obviously you need certification. Kind of like, well, you wouldn't trust a surgeon who didn't go to school.
Yeah, exactly.
Or he's like, oh, I just watch YouTube.
Yeah, like, because like if you mess up something like in civil engineering, if you design something badly, like people die.
I guess
like the stakes are real.
I guess the example's like building a bridge bad.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like,
that's the funny thing. It's like no one knows who you are until you mess up. That's life of an engineer, dude. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious, and it's kind of sad at the same time, dude.
I mean, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that too. Yeah. Have you guys ever been traveling much?
Not a ton lately. I mean, I guess we went to the bowl trip for the football team. That's kind of the last thing we did.
Fun.
What was that? What was Boca Raton like?
That was a fun trip. I enjoyed myself.
Moderately warm and not too humid.
Yeah, it was like 70 degrees. It was perfect.
That sounds nice. How was it compared to the Bahamas? How was that? I've never been to.
It's hard to beat the Bahamas, but I mean, they were both very good trips.
Yeah,
like I would say the Bahamas was better for our perspective, just because for Boca we got down there like maybe a day and a half before the bowl game.
Yeah.
So we got a decent amount of time to just mill around and do whatever, but to really do anything, we would have to take an Uber or get bussed around and whatnot. So it cost more, I guess. Whereas when we were in the Bahamas, we were on the same schedule as the football team. So they flew us into the Atlantis Resort like 4 days before the bowl game. And then we just had nothing on the schedule for 2 days. And we were in a resort with all expenses paid. So it's kind of hard to beat that.
Isn't that country's... Everything's really expensive at that resort, but everything outside the resort looks like crap from what I've been told.
Yo, yeah, it's horrible.
Yeah.
Like, it's a third world country.
Isn't it funny to think that maybe that country's whole economy is based off a resort? Think about it. Think of it like if Florida's economy was based off Disneyland.
I mean, it makes sense. Like just for the economy to be based off of tourism in general, where they are.
There's a lot of countries that base their economy off tourism. Japan is not an example one because they don't have a lot of English signs.
Like Dubai is one, I'm pretty sure. Because they're starting to run out of oil. They changed their whole economy to be off of tourism.
Really? I never knew that.
Yeah.
With America, we just took all that oil.
Pretty much. Like, they haven't run out yet, but they know it's going to happen. So they're getting ready.
Shit. Just build a Disneyland and a Six Flags over there.
Pretty much.
We're good, man. Well, I think that's all I got for this one. So, is there anything else you want to add? I wanted to keep this one short, because I know you guys got to go somewhere.
I'm good.
Y'all are good?
I got nothing.
Yeah, don't forget the beer I brought you guys. So I'm lucky I even found it. So, so thank you, Zoe. Thank you, Van, for coming out. And I'll let you know when this one gets uploaded.
Okay. Thanks
Cool.
for having us.
Thanks.
No problem. See you guys.